Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. Today, Gilbert and I, he's passed out on the bed, are going to be chatting you guys through the books that I'm planning to read in August. So I only selected 4 books to chat about today, and that's because usually when I make TBR videos, I include like 8-10 books, and realistically, it's just with my schedule, not going to happen. So I figured why not talk about the books that I'm actually going to get to, the books that you guys will be able to anticipate will be coming up in my end of the month wrap up, and not put so much pressure on myself to have so many books on my TBRs that I know I'm not going to have time to read. Also, doing it this way has got me more excited because I know I can only have 4 books to be on that TBR, and so it's made me really think about what I want to read this month. So there might be a few surprises when you tune into the wrap up at the end of the month, but for the most part, I'm going to try and keep it to these 4. So the first book that I am going to be reading this month is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. From what I can gather, this is more of a cozy mystery. It follows 4 main characters who live at a retirement community that's pretty high end. They have, really nice places where they can spend their time, like beautiful landscaping, all of the things. But these 4 people absolutely love true crime and talking about cold cases, which, by the way, is totally going to be the group that I'm part of if I'm ever in a retirement community. But regardless, every Thursday they meet up and look through some old cases, try and solve them together. But lo and behold, one day a real life murder mystery turns up at their retirement community when one of the property developers ends up dead, and they are on the case. I've heard that this is really charming. All of the characters in this book are just people that you want to spend time with and get to know more. I've heard that it definitely is a bit more of a cozy mystery than that like gripping edge of your seat thriller, but it has also been blurbed by so many thriller authors that I really have enjoyed reading in the past. Also, I have heard that this just had the movie rights sold, and they are planning to start working on the movie production soon, and I do love a good book to movie adaptation, so very excited for this. So the next book for August is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. So I am planning to do a thriller vlog of this one, similar to my most recent thriller vlog of The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. If you guys missed that, I will link it in the cards for you. But this is a book about a girl named Hannah. She went to Oxford for college. In her first semester there, she met a girl named April, and before the first semester was up, April was murdered. Now, Hannah, when this happened, was really intent on kind of finding the person that did this. And they actually get a conviction and somebody goes to jail for April's crime. He's been in jail for a really long time. And the event that kind of kicks this whole book off is that he passes away in jail. But when some new evidence comes forward, Hannah starts to question whether he actually did it. And she looks back into the evidence a bit more and figures out, was the conviction that they got actually for the right person? Now, this book deals with something that I always find really interesting in true crime and thrillers, which is kind of that pressure that people find to get a conviction for justice versus the actual time that it takes sometimes to find the right person. And unfortunately, I know so many instances where the criminal justice system unfortunately gets it wrong. I don't know, maybe they got the right guy at the beginning, but I think that that's one of the main themes that's going to be in this story. I have loved so many things from Ruth Ware before. I really, really love Turn of the Key. That's my personal favorite of hers. So I'm excited to see if this is going to be a new favorite as well. Also, it does have 2 of my favorite thriller tropes, and those are cold cases, or like looking back at a crime that happened a long time ago, as well as like college campus crimes. If you guys are interested in some of my other thriller tropes, I will link my favorite thrillers video in the cards where I talk about some of the things I love to see in thrillers. But anyways, very excited to pick up this one. So next up is probably the one that's most out of my comfort zone, and that is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So this is about a group of stay-at-home moms in the 90s. They live in kind of, I think, like a fancy, maybe gated community. I don't know why I think that, if that was actually on the synopsis. but it takes place in the 90s in the South in kind of an affluent area. And they get together every week for a book club meeting. However, at the beginning of this story, a new man moves into the neighborhood who is very handsome, and everybody is smitten with them. But when a series of murders and disappearances start happening, they start to wonder, is this man actually a vampire? As you guys will know, I do not read a lot of vampire, sci-fi, fantasy type of books on my channel. I do read a lot of mystery thriller type of books, and maybe that this does have some of those elements in it, but certainly it has a lot that I don't typically look for and typically pick up in books. I have heard nothing but absolutely rave reviews about this story. People say that it's a great place to get started with like horror or branch out a bit in terms of what you read if you haven't really delved into these genres before. And so I am kind of going into this not knowing what to expect, but I'm really, really excited. Also, whenever I get a book from the library, I always do this thing where I will kind of read a little bit as soon as I get home just to see what I got. And the first page of this just totally hooked me. Like paragraph 2 says, "She sprayed her hair, put on her earrings, and blotted her lipstick. But when she looked at herself in the mirror, she didn't see a housewife of 39 with 2 children and a bright future. She saw a dead person. Unless war broke out, the oceans rose, or the earth fell into the sun, tonight was the monthly meeting of the Literary Guild of Mount Pleasant, and she hadn't read this month's book, and she was to discuss it, which meant that in less than 90 minutes, she would stand up in front of a room full of women and lead them in a conversation about a book she hadn't read." Definitely been there, done that. I just thought that was such a fun way to start a story. And the last book that I'm going to be picking up for August is my fluffy summer read, my one and only book that doesn't have thriller or gore aspects to it on this TBR, and that is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I've not read any Beth O'Leary before, and I think she's most famous for The Flat Share, but this is her second published novel. It is about 2 characters, Eileen and Lena. Eileen is Lena's grandmother, and she's an 80-year-old woman who lives in Yorkshire. But she is single, and she is looking to mingle, but she doesn't have very many matches where she lives. Lena, on the other hand, lives in bustling, busy London, and she is ready to get out of the city. So they decide to switch places and switch lives and just kind of go from there. I've heard that this just follows the most heartwarming characters, has a great bond between grandmother and granddaughter, which is not something that I've read often about. And I think it's just going to be that perfect book to sit out on a sunny summer afternoon and just really enjoy reading. Alrighty guys, so that is it for my August TBR. I'd love to know if you guys have read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!